What is up, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Kickin with Manny. On today's episode, I wanted to talk to my guest today about whether it is a red flag if you are in a relationship and the other person is not posting you on social media. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe for more episodes like this. If you enjoy the content, you already know what to do. Hit the like button, follow, and let's dive right into it. So when it comes to a relationship, there are so many different perspectives and different angles to the relationship. And today, we wanted to talk about whether if this person that you are dating or whoever you're in a relationship with is not posting you, whether you should be concerned or whether you should just take it lightly and not think it's really a big deal. So I have my guest today. I have Nikki and I have Kay with me today. First, Nikki. If you're in a relationship with someone and it is a committed relationship and the person is not posting you on social media, you guys have been together, you guys enjoy doing things together, and you guys are social media butterflies. So you guys are very present and frequent on social media. Do you think it's a red flag?
With the background of you saying that we're both present, I think is a key that it would be a red flag if they're posting their friends or their meals. I think that it would be fair to include your significant other in that. So it would be a red flag, but for me personally, if I'm committed, I'm hashed out those red flags already. So I wouldn't get to that spot where it would be a red flag. I'd communicate those red flags before being serious with them. So if they weren't doing it, it would be for a reason that we talked about.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's a valid point. I think that's a valid point because the bottom line is, like you said, you iron out the red flags before anything ever gets to that point. So with you, a little bit back to the question again.
Yeah.
So do you think let's say you guys talked about it and he's not posting you.
Yeah.
Are you going to have an issue with it? Even if you guys talked about it before and there's nothing going on, are you going to post him on social media if he's not posting you?
100%, because that's who I am. I am very personal on social media. I like people to see my life and know that there's a real person behind the glam social media. However, I feel like gender-wise too, sometimes it's different. Not always guys post a lot in that realm, and some people are private and that has to be respected. So I guess if we had a conversation, it would have to be a justifiable reason not to post about it, and there has to be trust in that relationship already, as well as feeling noticed and seen by that partner in other ways and other aspects in that relationship that I would feel comfortable being okay, that's fine, I respect that.
Okay. And Kay.
Yeah.
So you are in a committed relationship with someone and you guys are really in a good place. You guys go on vacation, do fun things together, but they're not posting you. Do you think it is a red flag, and why would you think so?
For me personally, just how I am, I do think it's a red flag. Just in the sense, I feel like there's a fine line between privacy and secrecy. So I think it would just be more or less for me a security factor, kind of bouncing off what you said more or less. If you're seeing that appreciation in other ways, okay, maybe you can kind of step back on it. But I think if myself and my partner are both heavily involved in social media, I think it you can't really use that excuse. So for me, it is a red flag. At that point, it's if, how you said, you can post other aspects in your life, such as food or activities or other things that you're involved in. I feel like there shouldn't really be another reason that you can't post your significant other with those things along as well. So
absolutely. And I think for me personally, I will agree with the ladies when about this, just because I see things from different perspective. And I always say, if you guys are social media, you are very active on social media, there should not be a reason to not post each other. And I understand. So when I did this thing on Instagram about whether it's a red flag or not, I had a different response, and it was very interesting just because I was starting to see the world in a different lenses. I started to see people differently now. But for me, if you guys are not active on social media, it is okay to not post each
Yeah.
other because you are not active, because you don't really share that personal side and you want your relationship to be private. And I think that is when I did the stuff on IG, that is one thing that I got from that response per se. But when it comes to me, if I am with someone, I don't see a reason to not want to post them eventually. And
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point in my life where I think about, if I am not committed to a certain degree, I would not post them yet. But I will also communicate that to them, let them know, okay, I'm in this place. I'm still trying to figure out my emotions, my thoughts, and everything else. So it's not that I don't want to post you, but I'm not doing it yet. But once I got to that point, because I was there before, I couldn't post the other person and they kind of like had issues with it. But eventually when I started posting them, there was no break. I just was like putting everything out there, whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh, okay, this person was really like this." But now, and I think that is what people did not really understand, it being a red flag per se, just because if the person is not posting you, but they post their food, they post their friends, they post their drinks, you're like, okay, so your food, your friends, your drinks are more important than the person that you're with, right? But do you think that is a deal breaker with you, Nikki? Do you think that is a deal breaker when you are trying to get into a committed relationship?
I don't like looking at things as deal breakers because I like to be open-minded. However, I would say I would prefer someone to post me, just because I would want to post them. And I'm very active on social media, and I'd want my person to not be equally, but also invested in that because, like I model on the side, and I would want my person to advocate for me and my passions and like resharing my stuff on their story too, like little stuff like that I think would be important. Um, so for me, I would definitely prefer them to post me, but I wouldn't necessarily say a deal breaker because if it's an amazing relationship and healthy and I trust them and they show up in other ways, I'm not gonna sacrifice that over something that has become more predominant in our lives.
Okay, so that is a great point. The first answer that we have compared to this, that is a very great point because she elaborates a little bit more about why this will not be the make or break type of thing in the relationship, and it makes a lot of sense. If you are within that point where things are happy and you guys are happy, and I mean, if they don't post you but they still be able to share things randomly about you and stuff like that, it is a good thing. And I think in this day and age, just this conversation that we have is just our own points of view. I mean, other people approach this type of conversation differently, but I think the most important thing to also understand is that if you are in a committed relationship and you guys are evolving to a certain degree, it makes sense. I mean, if you go on vacation, you wanted to share that stuff with people who are close to you. I mean, some people don't do that on social media because they have friends who are not like friends. They are like followers and they're not really like friends. But I think if we start to see things have an open mind about this, it could be a positive, it could be all positive, depending on how you look at it. Because if the relationship is good, I mean, once here and there, you post one or two pictures and that's it. You don't have to always be like posting everything they do.
Yeah.
So I think that makes things a lot more, it creates a lot more balance for the relationship. And I think the biggest thing that I realize people in this day and age, and I will say this, I know people are going to sacrifice me for it, but I'll say it anyways. So with me being a guy, and I've been on the other side of the spectrum where I was not posting the other person for my own reason. And in this day and age, everything is so fast. Like people are looking for the next available opportunity for them, whatever it is. And if you are with someone and they are not posting you and they are very present on social media, like very frequent, there is something behind it. There is some sort of like reasoning. And if they are not emotionally ready to level up to that stage, they should let you know. they should communicate that to you. Because if you are posting that, it's going to be one way. That's why a relationship is like a two-way street. We come together to make it work. We try to be a team together. So if the person is not trying to make you feel like, oh, I'm proud that I'm with this person and this person makes me feel happy, or whatever the case might be, if the person is not doing that, then you have to really think about things in your relationship and try to have a different, like, okay, what's like, am I going in the direction I want to go long term with this person? Because you don't want to be 5 years in and this person is still there just chilling and not posting it. Like, they're always there, like every morning, even if they're brushing their teeth, it's on social media and you are not there. You are like a ghost to them. So that's my thoughts. But also with you, Kay, so you are with someone and you are posting them more and they hardly ever post. Maybe here and there they'll post you. Would you have problem with that?
I think it would really depend on a case-by-case basis because it would depend on the context of how they're posting me, if that makes sense. I think if it's something where I'm posting them pretty frequently, and then I get like one picture a year, I feel like that might be a little weird. If they are absolutely super present in social media. But I think it also depends on the people involved. For me, I feel like long term it could be an issue. I don't know if it would necessarily be to the degree that it's a deal breaker. But yeah, I think just because at that point you're in different mindsets, and my reasoning kind of back on what you guys said behind posting is because I want the world to see like where I'm at in life, and if this is what I'm doing every day with somebody, like I want to be able to be proud of that and not feel like I'm in a weird headspace for wanting to be with that person and them not reciprocate it in an equal value. Because then at that point I feel like it's more of an investment issue. So if I feel like I'm invested to the degree that we're posting, we're sharing our experiences, whatever we're doing, whatever the case may be, and that person isn't necessarily doing it back, then it's just, okay, I'm at this point when I'm at this point. So
okay.
Yeah.
So with you, Nikki, if you're with someone, what level, how long would you expect? Do you have like a time frame where you expect them to want to make you official on social media? And do you think making someone official on social media is that like a necessity to you? I mean, okay, so let me rephrase this so I don't go too personal.
I was like, that's a lot.
So let's say you are with someone, for example,
Yeah.
and just from a woman's perspective, like you're a woman, you've had friends, they've shared their thoughts and stuff like that. From a woman's perspective, do you think that there is a certain time frame where the person should start making you official? Because when you are exclusive with them, you want to be exclusive on a certain level too on social media, so that their friends could maybe even know who you are. Because sometimes you're in a relationship and their friends don't even know what you look like.
Yeah.
And you've been together for like 5 years. And so with you, do you think there is a certain time frame that you expect them to at least make you more official on social media?
I always feel like for me, when I am reaching a relationship, we have a conversation about being exclusive by not like dating other people, but we're not technically like official, but we're still exclusive because we're getting to know each other and hashing out like those red flags or just like different things in our life that maybe don't align, and like compromises and understanding each other. So once we kind of get past that and I'm like meeting family or friends, and that's like a time that would be like, okay, like, yeah, we're dating now. Like, let's put it on social media so that I feel like that's important. You know, there's so many people on social media, and just to be able to put a little aspect of that on there so people know, as well as like being proud of your person and showing them off. Like, I like love posting my food, and I'm like, I definitely would love my man more than like my food. So I'm like, he's gonna be on there. But I find it interesting because one of my past relationships, he wasn't on social media, and I had no doubt in my head. Like, I'm like, he doesn't need to. I think he had Facebook, but he never went on it. So I'm like, I don't even have a doubt that he needs to put official on there, because I don't care, because it goes back to that security of like, there was nothing else that made me feel insecure or that I didn't trust him. So that's why I was kind of like, depending on the situation, because then fast forward to my next relationship, he never posted me, but it became a red flag because of other things in the relationship that gave me a weird feeling of not trusting him. And then it came out true. He was cheating and he didn't want me on social media because his other girls would see.
Huh. Okay, so that's so you see, there is so much more to this.
Yeah.
There is so much more, and people who will write in the comments and just sacrifice us for this. I mean, it's okay. It's different perspective, but the bottom line is that if the person is not posting you, I mean, I'm not saying they should post you 24/7, but if the person is not making you public or making you official to that level, and you feel like this is not a problem, eventually it will be a problem. And when it's a problem, there is maybe a line that the person may have crossed, may have spoken to someone the way they shouldn't have, or have tried to get with someone. And most like, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm a different human being from a different life or whatever. But I just feel like if the person is not making you official, there is a reason. Like there is someone who is going to get pissed off if they post you. And because of that reason, they try to keep you like behind closed doors, and you're like ghost to nobody knows. Because sometimes, when people are in a relationship for like 3 years and they go on a date and he posts just his food and the other person is not there, like you can tell. And it's just so funny. We live in a world where social media does not determine our life. A lot of people will say, oh, it's social media. It doesn't define me. I'm not a social media person. But the bottom line is you're posting your workouts. This day and age, people are posting their workouts. They're posting their selfies. And like, why is that not a normal thing? I mean, it's not seeking social media validation, but you are still looking for that like green light, like I'm also important in this aspect of your life, not just because if you cross the line and you guys are in a committed place, you guys are exclusive, you're meeting family, you're meeting friends, and you are a ghost to anyone else who knows you on social media, there is something wrong with it. I mean, it might not necessarily be a red flag, but it is questionable. Like people, you want to like rethink where the relationship is going, not to make it or break it, but just have a conversation about why this is happening and be present when they talk to you about the reason, because some reasons just don't make sense. Because some people will say, oh, I don't post you because I'm not a social media person, but here and there they post a lot of different stuff. That's why I made this question more specific. Like the people are very present, because I know a couple who are very present, and here and there they show each other off, and I feel like that is just a normal way of life. Social media is, we are excited to share other parts of our lives, even if you are a private person. No matter how private you are, you
don't
still
have to go in depth into that relationship.
right.
And be like, that's my girl.
Right.
And not be like hidden from the world. Yeah.
So with UK, when it comes to that aspect, like, is there a time frame for you to expect them to want to share, talk, or like put you on social media?
I don't think it's necessarily a time frame as much as the correlation that you guys have together in the relationship. Obviously, you can be with somebody for 10 years and not do half the things or accomplish a lot of the things that you want as you could with somebody that you've been with in a year. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's just more or less the status of like who you're around, who you've met, how in depth of their personal life you're involved in, things that have arisen in the relationship as far as situations that you guys have both gone through together. I think that will kind of say a lot more versus like a set time frame on it. So
Okay.
I guess like I've never came across that either though. So I don't know like if I would have that thought of like, hey, they don't like post or like share you.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I feel like with anything though, like with my friends, I give it to them real. So I guess like if I had like a weird feeling about it, then I'd be like, hey, like this is kind of weird, but like he doesn't really post you or does he, or like what's going on kind of thing, and just have a conversation with them, because my friendships are very like real and we can just talk about stuff. But I haven't like had to go through that because all the boyfriends that I do follow are like they're really committed in a relationship for a while, and like it just naturally they're posting each other.
So, do you think it is necessary? Do you think it is necessary to post someone you are in a committed relationship with? If you guys are just to summarize this whole conversation, do you think it is important to have that social media validation?
I think at the day and age we're in, I think it's more of a yes than a no for me. Only because just the way that people think nowadays, you have access to so many, like just different people and things in general that it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're the person in that relationship not committed enough to your partner to not post them, how do you expect anybody else to be? Like, you can't put that expectation on outside people that aren't in the relationship. So it's like, it's just one of those things where I think it's walking a fine line. And I do also agree that if it's somebody that has, the Facebook or Instagram that they post once every 2 years on, like, you can expect that in that case. But I think for the majority of people, with how involved we are in social media and how, like, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever, like,
that's crazy.
Every aspect of life, every second of the day can, like, be accounted for. So it's like, if you yourself are not putting in the effort to, you can't really expect an outside person to respect, I guess, your relationship or where you're at with another person.
Nice. That's a valid point. So what do you think about the same thing? So do you think it is necessary to have that social media presence eventually in the relationship?
I think with the culture, it kind of like, to use an analogy, like back in the day, the roles that men would do for women that we don't do anymore is kind of like the same aspect of like social media. It's not something you think about. It just does, like, you do naturally. So I feel like for me, that's what I would expect in a relationship. But with those other things like we discussed, that could change that if I feel comfortable and I trust that person. And it just makes me think about my sister. She messaged me after I posted on Instagram, and she goes, "I think social media relationships are so fake." And I'm like, what the heck? And she's married, and he's not on her social media, but she doesn't post a lot, but she is on there, So it's just like funny because they do have a solid relationship, and she's only 30, she's not like super old. So it's like she's still a part of like that social media like generation and culture, but it's just like, it's just interesting to see that some people at that age really aren't into social media and really are. So I feel like it's very situational. And if you feel confident in your relationship, it's okay. And that I think, we shouldn't like love social media and like be on there and post when you can, but also be able to step away from it. I think that's like a big problem of as we gain new technology and advance in social media, of being able to like go for a hike, a picnic, like little stuff like that, and not have to document everything.
Exactly.
So I think it's like a fine line, as well as like going back to that communication piece. But statistically saying, I would want my person to, because from my experience, when they haven't, they're cheating.
Well, there's an ulterior motive of some sort. Yeah. So.
They got other ones in the loop, and they can't mess that up.
Yeah, that's really interesting just to hear different perspective from the ladies' side, and for me, just chiming in for the guys. I know I'm not speaking too favorably. I'm not speaking too much in your favor, guys, but the bottom line is that if you are in a happy place, and guys, the way we pursue. So, and we expect some kind of like a reward back. So if we came to pursue you, to be in a relationship with you, and now we are here and we've done the work, we expect that you women to also like validate us to a certain point where we post, you post us on social media, or we post you. But in most cases, if the other person, either the boyfriend or the girlfriend, is not posting you, there are certain people in the picture he or she is gonna upset. And when that happens, that's when, I mean, if the person is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's when you know that you're in a relationship that is one-sided. Because it's not just you being you being with them behind closed doors that is necessary. Because there is a reason why they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if you don't have social media, it's different. If you are not if you're a private person, it's different. So this response that we've gotten from this conversation is just sharing if these people are present, they are very frequent on social media and they are not posting you, you should be concerned about it. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today with Nikki and Kay, and we having different perspective being elaborated with this episode. If you're new here, already know what to do. Make sure you subscribe. We're gonna have more guests. Make sure you subscribe for more episodes like this. If you enjoy the content, you already know what to do. Hit the like button. If you have a question, drop in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.